Hi guys, I'm Joe and you're watching Fonehouse Online, and today we're going to have a closer look at the Samsung Galaxy A3. Now the first thing that you notice when you pick it up is the all-metal design. Feels really, really great in your hand as well, and despite being a budget handset, can actually rival something like the iPhone in terms of the style stakes. Now the A series does place a premium on good looks, which is great about this. I mean, compared to its big brother, the A5, to some it might feel more budget, but it never really looks or feels like a cheap or budget handset. And the consensus is, from everyone we've spoken to, that it feels and looks great in your hand. Speaking of feeling great, the rear that you'll see there is kind of a tactile matte finish, meaning it feels grippy and it feels sturdy as well. Also, it's a good size to fit comfortably in your pocket, meaning it's good on the pocket in both a financial and an aesthetic sense. So let's take a closer look. So let's begin with build and design. First thing you notice is it's light, and the 4.5-inch screen is more impressive than you'd expect from a QHD option, and the general use feels surprisingly snappy with that quad-core 1.2 GHz Snapdragon 400 CPU and a gigabyte of RAM. The power pack in the A3 is locked in, but there's a port to slot a micro SD into, and the ability to expand memory will be crucial with this handset, given this is still native TouchWiz running on top of Android 4.4, which means that the operating system will take a relatively large amount of space up on the device. The battery life of the Galaxy A3 should be more than acceptable, given it's got a 1900 mAh battery. Now that doesn't sound like much, but given the lower spec CPU and RAM, combined with the lack of pixels compared to some of today's 1080p beasts, Samsung should be able to make some significant savings here when it comes to juice retention. The other big thing is the wide selfie mode, which is perfect given that this handset is an affordable option for all those young folks so fond of selfie sorcery. Now the results were fine on the 5-megapixel camera on the front and the primary camera, the 8-megapixel one on the back, while looking a little bit washed out compared to some you get on the A5, but really it's pretty good. In terms of display, the A3 has a Super AMOLED touchscreen. It's 4.5 inches and 540 by 960 pixels, which gives you 245 ppi. Going to the camera, and there seems to be plenty of modes of shooting to choose from, and despite the budget lenses, we're still given a lot of new options, including the GIF file for quick and easy video uploads. Now it's definitely a more budget end party phone, but still pretty well equipped nonetheless. Moving on to video, and the phone has a load of frame rates to choose from to keep any young or new enthusiastic videographer entertained. However, there is no slow motion as with the A5 and the S5. Moving on to software, and it's running an Android OS version 4.44 of KitKat. As we said, it's got that Qualcomm Snapdragon 410, and the processor is a quad-core 1.2 GHz job, and the processing speeds are going to be a little bit slower than some of the more expensive handsets, and we noticed a bit of a lag when rendering some fairly simple images too. Onto the keyboard, and it's not as touch friendly as the amazing S5 and A5, which was such a big hit with us. However, it is still user friendly when searching the internet or typing text messages, and so much better than the cramped touchscreen keyboards you get on some handsets. Moving on to memory, and the phone has an internal 16 gigabytes and 1 to 1.5 gigabytes of RAM. Now it is that small amount of RAM that may make the phone run a little bit more slowly. We would advise expanding up to 64 gigabytes using the micro SD option that you have, because the more space you have on the phone, the smoother it's going to run. Going back to the battery, and one of the big things that the A3 has is the power saver mode, meaning you won't run out of juice as easily. It's perfect for requesting that parental or friendly lift or collection at the end of a day without dashing around trying to find a charging point. So the question is, who's going to like it? Well, it's probably the best looking of the Samsung Galaxy series, and that is really, really saying something. And it still does pack a surprisingly good performance performance. It's absolutely perfect for the social media savvy and those who want a phone that is good for having fun. That being said, if you want to do work on it, that kind of thing, and you're going to need a bit more higher end performance, then maybe if you can stretch to it, the A5 will be a better bet. 3 out of 5.